What's your big takeaway?
I think you were right. I mean, the issue of Ukraine for us, obviously, is the most interesting. If you really step back on his speech and on the interview with Charlie Rose, you get this sense of a man. Look, all public discourse has a huge element of theater, but somehow it seems that there's a larger element of theater with Putin, that there's an element of sort of what is said publicly and what is really going on. And you have a guy here who is facing a very difficult political and economic situation, more economic. There could be a political consequence to it internally after a while. This is the first time he's facing a recession. He had 7% growth for his first 8 years and so on. And now he's got these problems, and there's even talk of maybe moving up the presidential election. So I think but he's amazing at dominating his media, at giving the sense. Of course, every word he said was followed by huge applause from the audience. So it's very much in that sort of Soviet feeling.
Well, and he seems to think that he can wait it out as well. I mean, Anders, he talked about this situation lasting as it is for 24 months and seemed not to be bothered by it. Does he have the staying power? I mean, is it a matter of oil prices? What do you think about how long this could go on?
Putin's looking back in the last 24 years, and he's seeing his influence and territory decrease over that period. He is desperately trying to shore up the influence of the Russian state and the influence and the territory of the former Russian Empire, Soviet Empire, as it were. He was actually very direct, I think, in this discussion. The fact that what you picked up on as far as wanting to call Ukraine and Russia one people is terribly concerning. It shows, I think, a willingness to continue possibly a westward march on the part of Russia.
Yeah, and indeed he has in the past spoken of Kiev as sort of the spiritual homeland of Russia. You mentioned the economic outlook. He very clearly shrugged off U.S. sanctions. He maintained a 3.5% GDP growth outlook. He says he's going to get inflation down from currently, 11% down to 16% down to 4%. Ethan, Anders, I guess my question to you is, to what extent do you think that he is being realistic and is actually a rational actor?
I don't think he's being exceptionally realistic. I would say, by the way,
you make the point, though, that what he says is a lot different than what he does.
Right.
So he's obviously going to put on one face for the public, and especially for his own people, and then do something else in the back.
And is he just a very rational actor doing that deliberately?
That's true. I guess part of the question is really how much further along he wants to go in Ukraine. I mean, you've suggested that maybe he wants to go all the way to Kiev. At the moment, my instinct is that, in fact, the bear has been caged, that he's not in a position to do that. Actually, having taken Crimea is dilapidated and in incredible need of renovation. He doesn't have the dough to do that. So on some level, and, if oil stays at $60, $65 a barrel, he can't do what he was supposed to do, what he was hoping to do. So, but I don't know if he understands that. It sounds like he thinks he can do it.
Let me ask you, Anders, I mean, speaking of oil, I thought a fascinating story this morning was that they've made the deal with the Greeks possibly laying the foundation for putting a pipeline through Greece, maybe through Turkey. What do you think about the actors that Vladimir Putin brought to this play today? I mean, we saw Cyprus there, which I thought, obviously we knew that was going to happen, but I still thought it was pretty surprising and impressive, at least as a theatrical move.
Yeah, it's a very sad stage of actors. You've got a bunch of economic basket cases
Germany and China
up there.
I mean, yes,
well,
Bahrain,
yeah, they
yes,
get a couple of investors from those
One guy
places.
from Munich.
They don't have
who runs a brakes company.
Who's opposed to the sanctions.
He's the
95th richest person.
It's a freak show. It's a sad freak show. I mean, that's the fact. It's Spieth. If you look at the ship that is the icon of Spieth, it looks like a pirate ship. It's got the crosses. The only thing it's missing is the only thing Putin is missing is his eye patch. This is not a place you want to invest.
Why is Putin doing this now? He doesn't have to do it. We're always trying to get television interviews for him. Why do you think he gave Charlie the interview?
I mean, my sense is that he is backed into a corner, and this is his way of handling it. I mean, it is a useful public relations endeavor. I mean, obviously, Charlie Rose being there does give a kind of patina of legitimacy. This is a forum.
It reminded me of The Interview a little bit, if you've seen the movie.
The Interview, yeah. No, I mean, this is a forum that they had hoped would be a kind of Davos of the East and so forth. It has, obviously, since sanctions, not been anything like that. And
sir, this is no Davos.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we saw Bernard Schroeder there. You see the older political leaders in the audience.
In fact, there was a story earlier this morning that Shell did strike a big deal with Gazprom.
Right.
The state
Sure,
gas company. So there are big deals being inked.
Right. It isn't a complete zero. I agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so what do you think, what's your takeaway here as far as what we can expect from the Greek-Russian relationship? Because I think that's one of the more fascinating aspects of this. Is Tsipras really running to Russia for a lifeline? Is that a bluff to get Europe? I mean, you know, we saw the ECB this morning.
And can Russia afford to bail out Greece? I think the answer is no.
I mean, Russia cannot afford to bail out Greece. What I think was remarkable about Tsipras's speech is what you didn't see. He really didn't make a wholehearted attempt to appeal to Russia and be pro-Russian. He's talking to a Russian audience, yet he was still walking a tightrope. He wants to stay in the EU. He's simply using his speeches and his trips to Russia to try to put some duress on the EU to agree to a good deal.
All right, well, great stuff for a Friday morning. Great having you both here. Thanks so much for joining us, Anders Corr and Ethan Bronner.